Are you looking to get a leaner, more athletic body? If you jumped on the recent running/hybrid athlete craze to make that happen, you might be sabotaging your results without even knowing it. In today's video, I'm going to show you 3 must-haves in your running routine to ensure that you get lean and defined without stripping away hard-earned muscle. Hey guys, my name is Aaron Kubitz, founder of Functional Aesthetics of Eau Claire. I blend science and innovation to help busy guys in their 40s build muscle, shed fat, and perform better inside and outside the gym. As a former cross-country athlete, I have logged thousands of miles, and between 2011 and 2016, I did over 1,000 half marathons. I know both from science and from experience what does and doesn't work when it comes to building a lean, athletic body with running. Humans are born to run. After walking, running is the second most popular form of exercise in the world. It's low barrier to entry. You can do it almost anywhere, and all you need is a good pair of shoes. In fact, humans have a greater capacity for endurance than any animal on the planet simply due to our ability to sweat and so that we can dissipate heat more efficiently. With that being said, a lot of guys aren't running because they love to run or because they want to run faster or longer. They're running to improve their physique. They're running to shed body fat. Since most of us understand that losing weight comes down to increased energy expenditure coupled with decreased energy intake, or either one of those or a combination of those, then it would make sense that if we want to lose weight, to choose the exercises that are going to burn the most amount of calories. And so it would make sense that you would choose running, because between all the exercise activity out there, running is probably at the top of the list in terms of how it's going to burn, how many calories it burns. So for a 180-pound guy, you're going to burn almost 1,000 calories per hour running at an 8-minute per mile pace. What many guys don't realize, though, is that burning calories does not necessarily translate into burning fat off your body. Furthermore, the kind of exercise you do and what and how you eat influences the adaptations that your body goes through in response to your exercise routine. So getting lean is not just a factor of losing weight. Losing weight is a factor of decreased calories. But getting lean isn't just about eating less food. That'll help you to lose weight, but in order to get lean, you need to be able to maintain muscle while you are losing body fat. And so the kind of exercise you're doing, coupled with the kind of food you're eating and how you're eating it, all play a crucial role in whether or not you end up smaller and weaker versus ripped and strong. The problem that many men make, though, when they are decreasing their calories and exercising more, is that they decrease their calories, but they want to continue eating the foods that they enjoy. They just eat less of them. So instead of eating, let's say, 2 or 3 slices of pizza at lunch, you cut it back to 1 slice of pizza and a salad. Or instead of eating the whole burger, you eat half the burger. So on and so forth. Or instead of eating the whole donut, you eat half the donut. So your calories are less, and so you will lose weight, especially if you are increasing your energy expenditure through running and also taking in less calories through your diet. That is going to result in weight loss. But here's the thing. You don't need a lot of protein when you are getting plenty of calories. The reason for this is that if you are a healthy person who has good insulin sensitivity, carbohydrates stimulate insulin, and insulin is an anabolic hormone. In other words, it builds you up. You know, anabolic steroids, right? What do? They build you up. Insulin is an anabolic hormone. And so when you have plenty of insulin circulating around, when you have good insulin sensitivity, you take these carbohydrates in, and as long as you're getting enough calories, including carbohydrates and fats, but especially carbohydrates, you can preserve your muscles even if you're not eating, hundreds of grams of protein a day like a bodybuilder. However, when you eat less food, insulin levels tend to decrease. And when insulin levels decrease, you have a metabolic shift, a hormonal shift that happens. Now instead of having insulin, spikes and drops, you instead have increases in levels of things like growth hormone and glucagon. And both of these things help to liberate stored carbohydrates or glycogen from your muscles and your liver so that your body can use those as energy even though it doesn't have enough calories coming in. After the carbohydrates and the glycogen and the liver and the muscles are used up, then your body starts turning to stored fat, right? Through a process called lipolysis. So it liberates fatty acids and your body starts gobbling up this fat and using that to fuel your activities. So the problem with simply just eating less of what you would normally eat is that because you are in this catabolic state or breakdown state, the state where your body is breaking down stored energy to use as fuel, is that it's also not going to discriminate between the fat and the carbohydrates and the muscle tissue. When your body perceives that you are not getting enough food to sustain your activity levels, what it's going to do is start finding ways to conserve on energy, right? And since you're getting plenty of carbohydrates and fats, which are great for fuel, you might not necessarily feel that you are suffering too much, right? You'll still have the energy, per se, to do your activities, right? Because what your body's going to do is going to start decreasing muscle mass, and it's going to allow you to continue doing your activity by making some downgrades in the metabolism. Make your metabolism more efficient at conserving energy, because we don't have very much energy coming in, and we're going to decrease the muscle mass so that you don't have to carry that amount of weight, for all those miles that you're doing. And since muscle is also metabolically active and even at rest, it's going to consume more energy, right? Well, if you're not taking in enough energy and you're doing all this activity, it's going to create adaptations in your body to make you more efficient at doing a lot of activity without very much fuel, which means less muscle mass and adaptations to make your body conserve energy instead of burning more body fat. So even as the body fat is going down, the glycogen stores are going down, but the muscle stores are also going to go down. And this is when eating more protein becomes more critical at this point. As I said before, when you're getting plenty of calories, you don't need a ton of protein in your diet, right? In fact, for an athlete, I wouldn't recommend getting more than 40% of your total calories from protein. Anywhere between 20 to 40% of total calories from protein is fine, right? But if you are not getting enough energy coming in and you want to preserve that muscle mass, then the protein becomes more important. Now you might say, okay, great, I'll just eat plenty of protein. I'll go crazy on the protein, right? Well, that's a little bit of a mistake, because yes, protein can help you to preserve muscle mass when you're in a deficit. But there's another factor. Remember I was saying there's 3 different factors here, right? So we've talked about, the calories. We've talked about the composition of those calories, what you're eating and stuff, the importance of getting enough protein in there when you're in a deficit. But in order to retain muscle, you have to retain your athletic performance, right? If you are getting weaker or your output isn't as much, right? Because you're in the gym, so you also need to strength train, right? When you're running and stuff, if you want to get ripped instead of just getting smaller, you've got to also be lifting weights to send this signal to your body that you need to be maintaining muscle. Well, if you are not getting enough energy coming in, your body's going to have a very hard time pushing itself hard enough to stimulate muscle growth or even to maintain your muscle in the gym. If you're getting weaker from your running routine as you're dieting down, then you know you're pushing it too far. So protein is great for building and repairing muscle tissue and also creating hormones, but it's horrible for energy. Carbohydrates and fats, on the other hand, are great for energy. As we saw that if you are decreasing your calories and you're just sticking to smaller amounts of your favorite foods like pizza and burgers and donuts or whatever, and just eating less of them, what's going to happen is, you'll have the energy to keep on going because you're giving yourself the fuel, and your body's going to break down tissues as well to fuel that, but you're not going to maintain your muscle mass. Well, if you go the other extreme and you just eat a ton of protein, now your body doesn't have the energy it needs to actually push itself hard enough in the gym to maintain your muscle or even to fuel the performance of your running. So what you need is to find the balance between the amount of protein you're eating, the amount of carbohydrates and fats you're eating, and your total calories, as well as the appropriate balance between your strength training and your running to ensure that you're maintaining muscle mass and your athletic performance at the same time. If you'd like to learn exactly how to achieve that balance to stay strong and athletic while getting lean, I've created 2 free resources that I put in the description below this video: Fat Loss Basics and Hybrid Strength Training Basics. You download those to learn how to properly balance your calories, your macronutrients, so the ratios of the protein and the fat, to be able to hang on to muscle while sustaining athletic performance, and then also how to appropriately balance your cardio and your strength training. If you enjoyed this content in this video and you'd like to learn more about dieting for fat loss or performance, or how to avoid injuries in the gym, or how to train around those injuries should you sustain them, then this is the channel for you. Go ahead and click the button in the lower right hand corner of the screen. I'll see you all next time for more health and fitness information.